Hi, this is Pete Reed, and what we're going to do today is to have a quick look at the use of motion paths and sound in PowerPoint. Now the reason we're doing this is because the other bits and pieces we've covered in PowerPoint have proved quite popular, and so these are the little bits that can be used sometimes but shouldn't be overused in terms of playing about with PowerPoint. Okay, but here's an example. And so as you can see, what I've done is I've got this balloon and it's rising and falling. It goes behind the clouds and in front of clouds. And we've got some music playing nicely in the background, suitably sort of balloony type music. And so that's now gone off the screen, and so we can actually move on back onto here. Now what I've done in order to be able to demonstrate this is I've created a blank slide, and this blank slide, as you can see, has got various elements on it. So it's got a couple of sound files over here, and over this side I've got a couple of animated images. So I've got a fluttering bird, I've got a sheep that's stuck on a fence, and I've got a sunshine, and I've got this chap walking around. Okay, so if I escape out of here, then we can actually see the animations and the various bits of files that I've actually got. And all I've done is I've just used the insert picture to bring these in and insert sound to bring in the sound files. So let's see what sound files we've got. So if I click on the first one, yeah. So the first one is a bird singing, okay. And the second one I've got, oh, let's come out of that one. Second one, I've got some background music that I suspect is going to be well annoying. Okay, so these are the various elements that I've got. So what I want to be able to do is I want to get this guy, so he walks onto the screen from that side, gets to about there and stops, but appears to carry on walking. Now in order to add to that illusion, I want this sheep to actually move across the screen so it looks as though he's actually still walking. So the sheep is actually going to finish off the screen over there. I want the sun to come up here somewhere. So there's the sun. And the bird is actually going to finish off here somewhere. And then when it gets there, I want to be able to add a bit of tweeting music. Okay, so that's the plan. And then here I've got my two sound files. So I'm just going to move my sound files up out of the way. And I need to remember which is which because there's no indication on here. But that one is my walking music. Yep. And this one is my tweeting. Excellent. Okay, so that should allow me to start work. Right, so the first thing I want to do is to get this guy to walk on from that side. So what I go to do is I can go to Add Effect, Entrance, and he's going to crawl in. Now, by default, the crawling is from the bottom, but I want to crawl him in from the right, from the left. So he should now come in from the left-hand side of the screen, and there he is. He's walking across until he's face to face with the bird. Okay, now he's just a bit too fast for me, so I'm going to come into here, into the timing, and say that he needs to start with the previous animation, and he's going to take 10 seconds to get across to the middle of the screen. So I can say OK, and there he is. He's now going to walk onto the screen, and it's going to take him 10 seconds to reach the middle. There we go, he's quite happy now, he's reached there. What I can also do then is to say, well, let's animate the sheep. Now the sheep is going to come all the way across from this side. So again, I can go to Add Effect, Entrance, and again it's going to crawl in. Now I don't want it to crawl in from the bottom, I want to crawl in from the right. Now the fact is that if that's going to take me 10 seconds, then he really needs to be slowed down as well. So he starts with the previous, but I want a bit of delay on there. So I can go into here, into timing, and say I want it to be delayed by 8 seconds, and then it's going to take 20 seconds to go across the screen. So I can say OK. And now what we should have is after 8 seconds, this image should then start to move across the screen. And there it is as he's walking across the screen. The sheep is moving in the background, so it gives the impression that this guy is walking. Now, that sheep is probably moving just a tad too slow. So let's see if we can actually speed that sheep up a little bit. So perhaps we'll cut that down to a 6-second delay and shorten that down to 16 seconds. So we've now got this where it's going to take about a 6-second delay. And once it's reached that, it then should start to come across. And the speed that's coming across is pretty much in line with the speed that the guy is walking. So all of that seems pretty okay. I'm now going to move my bird up out of the way somewhere and then add an effect for the bird, and this is where we add a motion path. And here I can actually draw the motion path and I can add in some nice curves that will actually give me the path that the bird is actually going to take. And he's going to come down, he's going to come down. There we go, and he's just going to flutter about there for a little bit. And there he goes, and as you can see, there he is now, straight in the face of that chap. Now the important thing, of course, is again that we want that to happen with the previous one, but we also want to control some of the timing. So for example, if I set this so it's 6 and 8 seconds and OK, so it's now going to wait for 6 seconds before it starts to make an appearance. There it is, and now the bird is flitting all over the screen, and it's now there he is in front of the bloke. Yeah, ready to start chatting to him. So again, I think that's going to work. So the final thing I want to do is to start thinking about the sounds. Now the first thing to say is that this is the sound of the guy walking. So I want to add an effect for that sound, and it's a sound action, and I want it to play. At the moment it says play on click, and I want it to play with the previous. So if I now press, play this slide, now as you can see, that has not started to play until that bird starts to make an appearance. So that's not quite as I wanted. So I need to escape from there, and I need to move this up so that it actually starts to play right at the beginning of the slide. So now if we play the slide, yep, so I've now got that slide playing. Okay. So what I now need to do is to introduce the second sound element, and again I'm going to add the effect, sound action, and play. I want it to play with the previous, and in actual fact let's see what happens if I play after the previous. So now let's press and play this slide. So the man is walking on. There's the bird flying around. Right, now the tune hasn't played. And the reason it hasn't played is because that previous music is still running. So it's going to wait until that music has actually stopped before it actually works. So let's stop that because that is obviously wrong. So what we need to do here is to say that that needs to play. So let's go and adjust the timings. And that needs to play at something like 16 seconds with the previous. So let's actually make that into 16 seconds. Now let me just go and check that time, because the time is actually based upon this picture here, and that one is got a speed of 8 seconds, and it starts with the previous. Let's have a look at my timings. So I've got 6 and 8, that's 14 seconds. So what I need to do is to make sure that that one plays after 14 seconds. So I click onto here, timing, 14 seconds, and OK. So let's have a look now. We can now press Shift and F5 just to watch this single slide. And there we have it. Everything seems to be working fine. Okay, now I could continue to play about with that because I think that my sheep could actually do with being speeded up just a little bit. So I'm just going to speed up that sheep. So I'm going to reduce the amount of time that it waits before it starts, 4 seconds, and I'm also going to change that to 12 seconds to get across the page. So once again, we'll have a look, and then we'll have a play. Yeah, that seems to be moving a lot better. The final thing is that on this particular one, I can actually come into here, and the effect options, I can actually say that what I want to do under sound settings is hide the sound icon when it's playing back. So I can now say OK, and then once again we can now Shift F5 . Okay, so there we've now got effectively the end of our slide. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to Control C to copy that slide and to put it underneath. Now the final thing that we would normally do on a slideshow, if we're going to be using sound and animation, is we would automate the slideshow. So if I go into slideshow and then go into rehearse the timings, then here, as you can see, we've got the slideshow and how long it will actually take to display this particular slide. I can click to move on to the next slide. And this slideshow, as you can see, is now going to watch while we play this. And as you can see, the image is moving across. Notice the time is going up here that allows us to see how long it's going to take. Okay, I can click to move on to the next slide. And there we are on the next slide. So again, now this timer is reset to say how long that slide is going to last before I actually move on. And this is where we'll then get to see our own slide in action. So there we have it. We've now created ourselves a little bit of animation onto a slideshow. And we could move between slideshows. So it's quite easy for you to be able to create little, I don't know, little nursery rhymes for grandchildren or for children, or indeed love messages for Valentine's Day, special messages for anniversaries, and indeed, because they're nice and easy to make, it's cheaper than sending a card because you can send them by email. And it goes back to the old adage that it's always nice if you've made it yourself. Okay, I hope that found that useful, and I'll look forward to sort of seeing you at some point in the future. Okay, talk to you later. Cheers. Bye.